G'day and welcome to the Fair Dunkem podcast, an NBA podcast by Aussies for Aussies. My name's Jay Lewis, and today I'm joined by someone who I met a few years ago playing pickup basketball on this crappy little half court in our university campus. We played many games there where he beat the pants off me, drove by me with absolute ease every single time. Please welcome my very good mate, Daniel Drum. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Jay, g'day. Thanks for having me on, man. This has been the bucket list for a long time to go on a podcast, so after today, I'll be able to sleep peacefully, I reckon. It's a very monumental life achievement for me.
You've been lie in bed till like 2 a.m. just like thinking, if only I could just get on a podcast. Like everything else, that's the main goal in life.
That's actually been my life literally for the past few years, just being on a podcast, and here I am, so man, keen to be here. But dude, yeah, I haven't played you in basketball at half court in a long time. Like I only played you like twice, but then we managed to like hook up on IG to like play again in the future. So I was lucky we like talked that one time.
Yeah, it was like we played like one game, and because I like used to play for like a local team, which you know, and we were like decimated with injuries, and we just had like no players. Like every game we're getting like 3 fill-ins. And one day I'm walking past in Swinburne, and I walk past the courts, and I'm just like, I found the watering hole. I found everything I need to try and get fill-ins. And I found you guys and connected with a few guys on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And I remember like you came and filled in for us one game. And like, because it was like a family team, so my dad played on it. As soon as the game ended, he came over, he's like, can we get him to fill in like every single week? Like, you were just like flying around the court. I remember the first time trying to defend you. I'm like, yep, I've got you all match. And you're behind me before I was like we started outside the 3-point. Before you even did the key, you'd pass me. I don't know how you did it. It was
Yeah, that was back in my prime. I've been injured the past 4 months. On that half court, I fell over on it and sprained my left wrist. So I've been out of commission for a fair while. But once I get back into gear, then I maybe get some of the energy back.
You're doing your Anthony Davis impersonation. Just
yeah. Oh, no, I don't want to do too much of that, man. Hopefully it's not the start of the trend.
Sore fingernail.
Yeah, it's just something oh my God, he gets breathed on too hard and neck sprain, yeah.
He stood on a thorn. He's out for 3 weeks.
Man.
The Lakers are actually on at the moment. If you're listening, to give a bit of context to when this is being filmed, it is over in Melbourne. It is Saturday in the afternoon. The Lakers have just gone into the fourth quarter against Phoenix. I've got it on my second monitor. We're losing by 7. Anthony Davis is being outplayed by Yusuf Nurkic, and I've lost all hope in basketball forever. But other than that, we're doing fine. Other than that, I'm in a great mood. No, we need to do some more games down at that half court. It's a terrible half court. The net lasts about 3 days every time it gets put on.
No, the net's never very sustainable. It always relies on the community effort to like get a new net as well. It's not by the uni, so it's just like people who just play there and just want to have a net there. But no, it just dies so quickly, unfortunately.
It was like you'd walk by like on a Monday for class, you're like, oh, sick, someone's put a net on. Yep, I'll go play tomorrow. And turn the next day, it's just shredded and fallen on the ground.
Yeah, I know. Some people grab it for some reason, try and hang on it and just ruin it. It's like, dude. But nah, man. I've been injured anyway. But next year, I'm going to be there a lot.
Same. I was out with ankle injury, but I'm returning. I went and played my first basketball game today in like months because I had an ankle injury, then a knee injury. And I was cooked. After 8 possessions, we're playing 1-on-1, me and my brother. After 8 possessions, I'm heaving on the sideline. I was cooked.
Dude, yeah, cardio goes so quick. And in basketball, it's like you need it. It just runs out so quickly when you're playing actual games.
And particularly for 1-on-1. There's just no rest. That's all it is. All right, we have a lot to chat about today. I say that every week, and I've realized that one of the dangers of doing a weekly NBA podcast for a sport which plays like 60 games a week is that you get a lot of content going through very, very quickly, and things get out of date very, very quickly. But it's actually, I'm excited for this week because I think it's finally been enough time to actually talk about the league, and the league has started a few weeks ago, and I didn't want to really talk too much about the games until like now, because we were sort of in that point where it's like, oh my goodness, like such and such is the best team in the league, but they're 3-1. And it's like, we started getting to the point where teams have played 9-10 games. There's a bit more that we can actually understand. Things are sort of evening out a bit more and being a bit more like, okay, that might actually be something that's true. Next week, I've got a mate on, or a couple mates on, and I'm going to be doing my early season overreactions fact or cap, where I'm just going to shout out like random things that have overreacted, and they have to tell me whether or not they're believing in them yet.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I'm trying to think of like, I'm basically just like scrolling Twitter and Instagram, finding things that people are overreacting to and just saving them.
There'll be hot takes everywhere.
There's so many hot takes. Everyone about all of 4 minutes to come up with a hot take. Also, the Lakers just took the lead. We're up by 1. This is amazing. Talking about the Lakers, let's start there, because there's been a few teams that have been interesting this year, which is a nice way of putting it. One of them is the Lakers, and they are currently 3-5, I believe. We got blown up by the Rockets in our last game.
Yes, lovely.
And I've sort of tried to avoid talking about the Lakers because it's been bad the last few weeks, and I'm like trying to just pretend. I was sort of hoping that we'd get a good week, and I could just wait and talk about them on that podcast. And like, but I'm sort of like, I don't know whether that good week's coming, and it might get worse and worse and worse if I wait any longer. But we're 3-5. We just took the lead against Phoenix by 1, but we've been down in that game the whole game. The Lakers look... I don't know. Do you think LeBron has another run in him?
Dude, I just think he's so old, man. Like, he's obviously still good, but like, I just don't think he can stay healthy to the end of the season and then into the playoffs, which is the most crucial time after like a full season. And like, as a non-Laker fan, honestly, I've like heard nothing about the Lakers this season so far, because obviously you guys just haven't been, I don't know, doing that much, I guess.
We've just been like mid, which is so un-Lakers like. We're normally we either start like 0-10 or we start like 10-0.
But like, last season was trash as all. My God,
that was the worst start to a season. like I remember getting to like 12 games. It's like, I give up on this sport. We were so bad. But I think there is a point where I am concerned about how reliant we are on LeBron. Like, he's 39, I think, or he's about to turn 39 if he isn't already. I'm trying to look it up here, but.
Yeah, no, he's so old. Like, he's still doing so much. And, like, there was talk of him, like, giving the reins over to Anthony Davis, like, back in pre-2020. And obviously it just hasn't happened because, like, he's still, like, that dominant, and AD hasn't been as reliable as people were kind of hoping overall.
He really isn't. I think, like, Davis is a great defender, but, like, he just isn't that guy on offense. Like, he's a great defender.
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Well, he can be for like just little stretches. But
he's good for spurts, but he's never been that guy that can just like carry a team offensively. Or at least hasn't been since the Pelicans. Like, at the start of the year, there was the whole thing. Did you see the whole thing with the LeBron minutes restriction? Because he played 28 minutes in the first game against, who do we play? Denver, I think. It was at 28, 29 minutes or something like that. And then they interviewed Darvin Ham, our coach, and he's like, LeBron, we're going to have him on a minutes restriction. He's going to be playing like 28 to 30 minutes a game. We just really want to keep him healthy for the playoffs. Since that game, he's averaged like 40 minutes a game, basically, or like 35 to 40 minutes a game, because we just realized we cannot win without him in the lineup. And I think that's really concerning because, as you said, he's 38, and like in like 40 days he turns, because he's like New Year's Eve baby, so he's turns.
He's 37 right now.
No, he's 38 at the moment, about to turn 39.
So he's about to turn 39.
He's about to turn 39, and like he played 27 minutes in. 29 minutes in the first game. Then after that, 35, 39, 32, 42, 35, 37. Then 27 in a game where we didn't play the starters in the last quarter because we were blown out so badly. But on track for another 37 or so. And like he's going to run out of gas soon. Like if we keep doing this. And the fact that it's not even like we're thriving with him, I think that's what's more concerning. It's not like he's playing 35 minutes a game, but we're like 6-2 and we're winning every game by 10. It's like we are barely holding on for our wins. We've won, thus far, like in our games, we've won by 5, 3, and 5. Then we've lost by 12, lost by 5, lost by 19, lost by 1, lost by 34. It's like in games where we're barely holding on. We've got a losing record with him playing over 30 minutes, and we're only barely at 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And he's going to run out of gas in like not too long. Like it's you just know it's impending doom at this point.
Yeah, well, that's your team, mate, so good luck. You guys got your championship in 2020, so whatever happens.
The Clippers
it's a shame. I just always, you just always wish like everyone could be healthy come playoff time. And there's always other teams as well, like they just get over by injuries, but like I hope to see Lakers healthy.
Yeah.
Because there's so many. The championship's like pretty wide open this season. Like, there's so many teams that could theoretically be good enough to win it. Like,
it really does feel like it's like. I do fear that it's just going to be like a get to the place and Denver do just run over teams again. Like they look
like
very good, but like
yeah.
they're not so unbeatable. Like they're not like 2018, 2019 like Golden State where it's just like,
oh my god, I hated that Golden State era.
By
so
the
much.
end of that, it just literally became, who has the privilege of losing to Golden State in the conference finals? It's like, is it going to be Houston or San Antonio or Portland? Who has the right to lose to Golden State in the most number of games? And it was like, just no one could beat them. I don't feel like Denver's like that yet. If they do another run like they did last year, it's like, okay, they actually are that good. But they're like, they could have an injury. They're not unbeatable, Denver, I don't think. Like, I do think you can beat them. Maybe not if they're playing at their best, but like, I'm not sure whether they play at their best as consistently as like a Golden State do.
Yeah. Nah. They're still obviously, probably, they're above everyone in the West. But not like Golden State KD level.
No, it's not.
They're still just looking so good. Jokic is just so good. My God.
I've never seen someone do so well and look like he cares so little. It still does my head.
Awesome.
He looks so bored out there half the time.
Yeah, I know. Like, he just throws like a full court pass and it's like, it's just, man. I love him, dude. He's so good, dude.
He is actually like they're playing some really good basketball as well. Like when we played them the first game of the year, which is also like, it's like, thanks, great way to start the season off. We get Denver. They're now they're 6-8-1 at the moment, I think, Denver. So they're looking very good, but they're not like unbeatable. I don't think they're a very good team and they're going to be tough to beat. But it's not, as you said, it's not a like that KD Golden State era where it was like, there's just no chance against them. I do get...
Yeah. But 8-1, that's pretty good.
8-1's... it's a good start. They're not looking bad.
Yeah.
The one team they lost to was Minnesota, who are looking actually okay as well. They're 5-2. Anthony Edwards looks like the GOAT, or the next GOAT.
I'm rooting for these. I like rooting for the teams that haven't like done in so many years. And like Minnesota has been like, they've had like 1 or 2 like kind of somewhat decent years recently, but like pretty much nothing for like 15 plus years. So I'm rooting for him. And everyone shouted on them so much for the Rudy Gobert trade. And like, they obviously did overpay a bit for him, but like, he can still be a good, productive player on their team. I think they're number 1 in defensive rating at the moment. I
was having a look at they've given up, they're averaging 101 points per game they give up. That's like the next best is Denver at 106.
Damon's pretty sweet.
They're doing good. They're not a bad team this year, I think. I think they're... At the start of the year, I think... I want to find it. I tweeted out my predicted, like, standings at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And I think I had Minnesota 4th.
Oh, did you really? Oh, fair call.
I had them 5th in the West. And I said, I was like... Because my mate's a Minnesota fan, I was talking to him, he's like, why did you pick us to be that good? I'm like, you're going to be great in the regular season. Because you got guys that are going to score, and you got guys that play defense. The problem is, come playoffs, you're going to go up against the Golden State, who are just going to attack Karl Anthony Towns relentlessly. You go against like LeBron and the Lakers, and like I don't see you getting out of the first round, but you're going to be fantastic in the regular season, I reckon.
Yeah. The only chances, like, if they do somehow snag like top 4, like home spot for the playoffs, at least in the first round, But like with Anthony Edwards, like he can, he's good enough just to like win games.
He actually obviously is. That's so, the thing,
and he's just getting better and more consistent, which is like
he is
so much upside for him there.
I was just getting up there. He's averaging 28 points a game on 50, 40, 82 splits. Like he's been amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And also 5.5 assists, which is really good as well. Like he's taken over as the best player there. I think. I do actually think that, like, I don't want to overreact to, like, 3... Well, that's exactly what we do. I'm an NBA podcast. I'm a content creator. Like, my job is to overreact to make people talk about it. But,
yeah, of course.
That's what we do. But I do think with the West, as we said, it's so wide open that I don't think there's any team that's, like, even... Like, obviously Denver's a level above, but there's no one else really in the West who's, like, unbeatable in the sense of, like... I said they'll just get swept, but if you go up against the Golden State for a series where Clay can't shoot, or maybe Golden State's had injuries in the past, so like you get a Chris Paul injury and Clay has a bad shooting. Like, you can easily beat an old team like that. They could come up against like a Phoenix and they could have injuries. The Lakers can have injuries. Like, I know you don't want to bank on that, but a team like Minnesota, they should just say, let's get a high seed so we get like home court advantage and just hope that one of the teams to go against, like, there's like 5 teams in the West who are all like, oh, they'll be really good if they're healthy. Like Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Suns, Grizzlies, you could say that. Pelicans, like there's a lot of teams up high in the West where it's like, oh, if they're healthy, they'll be great. So if you can just get a high enough seed in the West, the chance that you meet one of those teams and they're not healthy is actually pretty high.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In a weird way. Like you could easily catch like a Suns when Booker's out for 2 weeks or Durant's out for 2 weeks, or you could catch a Lakers with the Davis injury. Like, you don't want it, but something like Minnesota, they should feel pretty confident. Like, they don't really have anyone who's injury prone. Like, Kat had an injury last year, last year I did fantasy basketball for the first time in like my whole life. And I was so excited. And I picked Kat as one of my main players. And then he got injured. I'm like, oh, it's all good. I'll drop him. Turns out ESPN have these like undroppable players. They pick like 5 players a year who you can't drop or trade. And Towns was one of them. So he just sat on my bench for like 10 weeks. I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this guy? Right. So I was furious that Towns got injured last year. But I've
never done fantasy basketball, so
it was such a weird thing. It's actually very fun, but that took a bit of time to get used to. Lakers are up by 3 with 5:30 to go as well. We just took a timeout. I've got that over my side monitor, but
and OKC rooted.
What are they up?
Sorry, they're down 7. It's like 102.95. Yes, Kings. Minute left. Rip.
Okay, yeah, that's over. Well, okay, we've been talking about a Western Conference. Who, like, outside of Denver, what would your tiers be in the West? Like, it's top of your head sort of stuff. Like, I haven't done it either, but like, if we can agree Denver's like tier 1 and sort of a tier by themselves, yeah?
Yeah.
Who would be that like tier 2 for you?
So I'm just looking at the standings to remind myself.
I'm doing the same thing.
I mean, Suns definitely. Yeah. They're probably like the second favorite in the West easily.
If they're healthy, like they'll be fine. I would have Suns in now.
But even still, like they're still going to have 2 out of the big 3 stars.
That's true.
At least. Even if they have like 1 injury. I mean, obviously, like they need all 3 probably to go the full length.
But like they're still going to be good. Even if it's just they've had 2 of them injured for the first few games. Like they're going to be fine.
Yeah. And then, Warriors as well. But like I put Warriors behind the Suns.
Yeah.
Slightly.
If I was like a tier 2, I'd put the Suns up there. If it was like a tier, I think I'd put the Warriors slightly below them, but in that same sort of tier of like conference finals, semi-finals. Would you put the Lakers in that tier, or are they a tier below for you?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Lakers are there too. Yeah.
I think so.
Sorry, I'd hate to disrespect any Laker fans.
No, go for it. Go for it. We deserve it. We're pills on the internet. We're the most in-your-face fan base.
Yes, no, that's why, when Lakers lose, it's like, well, other fans like, yes, you. Like,
we deserve it.
You guys always... No, it's not all you guys. Just because you're just such a big market team, and it's like probably the most well-known NBA team in general in the world.
We've got...
you just attract so many casuals.
And we've got LeBron as well, who's like... we've got all the LeBron fans.
Yeah, there's always going to be a few toxic fans mixed in. No, Lakers, I mean, bro, honestly, Suns, Warriors, Lakers, I'm rooting for the Clippers, even though
they're an interesting one.
After 3 games, but
terrible thus far, but
they have so much potential, and I'm rooting for them just because they got so many players who haven't won a ring in terms of like Harden and Westbrook and PG.
I've got this this terrible this terrible mix where it's like a lot of what the Clippers have done, I want to see succeed. They've gone and made a good big trade in the middle of the season, which makes it fun and interesting because it's like if the Clippers win, it builds the expectation for other teams. Like, mid-season we can just trade for an all-star and we can make it work, and it means you're gonna have all these big trades going forward. And it's like I want them to win for that. I'd like Harden and Westbrook and stuff to win a ring who haven't won. I'd love PG to win a ring. Kawhi would be like an amazing legacy thing, 3 rings and 3 teams.
Yeah.
But then there's also the point where it's the Clippers. And the only thing I hate more than the only thing I hate more than I love a cool legacy story is my hate for the Clippers, and my hate for Russell Westbrook is just as high as my love for Russell Westbrook, because he did a year and a half of like just absolutely obliterating our franchise.
You got the worst version of Westbrook like that could have possibly existed.
We got
it wasn't
the worst
a good
time.
Fit. He was old.
We got him just after he was good, still good, and just before he was so bad that he sort of committed to being a role player. We got him that terrible little window where he was bad, but he wasn't willing to give up the, like, at least on the Clippers, like the other day I was watching a Clippers game and he set a screen and he cut. I'm like, I didn't see him set a screen for a year and a half at the Lakers. I'm like, how did they do that?
It was still like a pretty just bad fit with LeBron. Like, he's one of the best passes ever.
It was a terrible fit. I never understood it.
And just, he needs shooting around him as well.
LeBron wants shooting and guys who don't need the ball, and we added the most ball-dominant non-shooter in the league and said, go make that work. Like, it was destined to fail with Westbrook. But I think...
At least you got one good dunk on Rudy Gobert out of a season and a half, and you also had the game-tying shot against Toronto. That was great. That was peak Russ.
There's also a game where he played like peak Russ, where he just, I think it was in the first season, we were decimated by injuries to this game. I'm trying to find it quickly.
Yeah, so when there's like less people, when there's like, and
it was literally just down to him to be old Westbrook, and we played Charlotte, and I want to find this game. Was it this one? And he had like 45 points in the second half or something crazy.
Fuck.
Or maybe not 45. Maybe I'm probably going over the top there, but it was like he had a lot of points in the second half.
Yeah.
I think this might be. Is this the game? Like, and I just want to read the starting. No, because Davis played that game. It was without Davis. Davis and LeBron were both injured at this point. Yeah, we lost by 3, I think.
That's classic Russ. He'll do a great performance. He got us so close. But I still lose. Just
that's exactly. We lost by 3. It was like the middle of Jan, and our starters were him, Stanley Johnson, Avery Bradley, DeAndre Jordan, and Wayne Ellington. That was the lineup we were running. And Westbrook, he ended up with 35 points, but it was in the second half he scored 30. So he had a terrible first half, but dropped 30 points, including 2 threes in the last minute to bring it back to a 3-point game. We're down by 9. And just like, I'm like, where's this been the whole season when we actually needed you to play well for games that we could have won? But
he can only find his groove when he's like, he's got more of responsibility. When he's like trying to fit into a role he just can't fit into. It's annoying that he can't, but like that's when exactly you get the worst version of him. And I feel like on the Clippers, like he's been able to actually be the point guard. Like with Kawhi and PG, and now it's like with Harden, it's kind of weird, but a bit more weird.
It's going to be interesting. I really don't know how that's going to fit. I do think he has to go back to the bench. I feel like they're trying to start all 4. I think eventually he has to become a 6th man, Westbrook, because I just think there's one ball, 4 stars.
I wish it was just Harden, just to spite Harden. I'm just pro Westbrook because I'm an OKC fan and I used to hate Harden for a long time because Harden's so annoying on the Rockets. My God, the flopping and the traveling.
And the the 20 free throws a game. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, my goodness. But now I'm just rooting for him because I feel bad for him at this point because now his reputation's gone down a bit.
I saw a tweet the other day where they said the 2 best days in your franchise's history are the day you trade for Harden and the day you trade away Harden. I was like, that's so... I feel like every Philly and Brooklyn and Houston fan would sort of agree that was like, oh yeah, it was the biggest win when they got Harden, and then they were just like, I'm just glad to get rid of him at this point. I just want to move on.
Yeah, nearly. Maybe one exception is like Brooklyn, because
Brooklyn I think they would have rather kept Harden. If they could have kept that big 3 together.
Yeah.
And they played more than 8 games or whatever it was.
That's so crazy. Like that was such a guaranteed team. Like it felt so guaranteed to win. And
they were a great team.
They played a season and a half together, and then were injured for most of it.
That was sad. It wasn't sad because I was scared of them. It's funny. It's funny how I think this is a great way of describing the Clippers. Actually, it's I'm an NBA fan, but ultimately I'm a Lakers fan, 1, and I'm an NBA fan, 2. So it's whatever will help Lakers most, that's most important. So I find the teams that I hate are the teams I'm probably underneath just scared of. I used to hate the Clippers so much. It's but that was because I was so scared of Kawhi and PG, and they always had our number, and we could never beat them.
Yeah.
And like
No,
I used to be so
annoyed we didn't get. I wish we got Lakers versus Clippers in the playoffs.
we never got it, but like I was so scared of it. So I loved watching them lose it like 4-1. And I'd always be on like Twitter like, oh, they're overrated this, mainly because I just wanted to. I was so nervous, like scared of them actually being good because I think they were as good as Lakers. I think it's a good sign with the Harden that it's like the fact that I'm sort of rooting for them shows that underneath I'm not actually that scared of this Lakers team. It's like underneath there's a point where I don't actually hate the idea. Like I was kind of okay with Harden being traded there because I sort of trust that it's going to fail eventually because one of them's going to get angry or something's going to happen. And it's like, I think that shows that maybe the fact that I'm like sort of rooting for them is probably because I don't actually trust them to be that good.
Yeah, because you know they're not. Yeah, your team's better than them.
I know we're better than them. Whereas Denver,
I think it's a chance the Clippers could get it together. It's just like low.
They could. It's going to take a lot.
I feel like they're even though like they were looking kind of decent with PG, Kawhi, and Russ, you know, they're probably like second round at most. But like with Harden, there's a world where it could work and maybe take it the whole way, although it's more likely to probably not work, but it's like worth the risk as like, what are you losing?
That's it. I think there's a point where I was like, I actually did like the move because of the fact that I like that they weren't just comfortable being a second round exit. They were sort of like, this could blow up in our face really, really, really badly. But we'd rather risk that because the upside is we can actually be a title contender, which we're not at the moment. And I think that's actually a good thing for your team. When you're willing to just say, we're all in on winning a title, we're not settling for just being good. I think that's healthy. And I think that means my issue was, and this is what I posed, I had a Clippers fan on a few weeks ago, a mate of mine, Flynn, and we're discussing the potential Harden trade. And then
I didn't know Clippers actually had fans.
I know, right? It's crazy. I thought they just had like an owner who had $7 billion. But and I said, my issue was like, the only reason I wouldn't make the trade if I was the Clippers is like the risk of if you make the trade for Harden, so they trade their final picks and all the contracts for Harden and say we're going all in on Harden. The actual trade itself isn't bad, but what I would hate if I was the Clippers is like you get to like the trade deadline, and you're like maybe like 25-19, so it's like you're good but not great. You're doing okay. You're like a 5 seed. You're kind of healthy, and suddenly like a Siakam or a DeMar DeRozan or a Zach LaVine becomes available. And I think I would rather one of those guys than Harden. But you've used up all the pieces you could have used to get Harden. And if a piece that would fit better alongside Russ, PG, and Kawhi became available, now you can't actually go and get that player. That's the only risk I see is like you get to mid-season and someone else becomes available. And they're like, oh, I kind of wish we'd held on to those last pieces instead of going for Harden.
Yeah. But then I guess, like, you know, if they don't go for Harden, then nothing else comes up and they just don't get
That's it. If you don't go for Harden, you risk that someone else actually trades for him or he gets happy again in Philly and you don't get him. Or there's also a point where I do understand, as like a team perspective, adding an all-star player halfway through the year is so hard to actually compete. At least this way you have a whole year to sort of work and get some chemistry and stuff. So I think there is some value in doing it early. It's just like, I'm like, is there a player that could come up where it's like, oh, we kind of wish we hadn't jumped the gun with our last picks and our last players. I was like, the only ones I could think that I was like, players I thought of like Pascal Siakam, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram or CJ McCollum, someone like that. But I'm like, I think all of them I'd still rather Harden just, maybe. Like, someone like Zach LaVine would be a lot of fun.
I'd rather Harden to all those players. No, I mean, well, I don't know if I don't think the Pelicans are going to break it up necessarily. But I
don't think they would. That was just the teams I could think of. I'm like, I don't. And I was like,
but Brandon Ingram would be way better than Harden.
I'd rather Ingram than Harden. I'd rather like a LaVine than Harden, maybe, just because I think his speed.
LaVine, probably.
More, and defensively, I think he's a bit better. I think it'd be, and he wouldn't need the ball quite as much. I think he can move without the ball a bit more.
He just takes so many horrible shots.
Oh,
like he can make him. He can make any shot, but like he just takes way too many bad shots. He's just like he's really similar. I guess he's just like another PG and Kawhi, but he's like way less of a defender.
That would be the issue. It'd be like another Kawhi and a PG.
But he doesn't even accept his role if he just focuses. Like when you play in the Olympics, like he was like fully focused on defense and was like really good. And like when he more locked in that, this is like for so many players, like when they actually try, they're better at the defensive end. I think he would. I mean, he probably would actually buy into that pretty easily.
And I think if you know you're winning and if you know you're not relying on you to take 25 shots a game, maybe there is a bit of freedom that comes there. But I was like, I just wonder whether there'd be a player like that could come off. And like, I don't think there'd be anyone else that you could actually get for the picks they had. Like, I don't think if like Atlanta bombed
do
and Trae Young.
Do Clippers even have? Do they have any picks still? Like, I don't even know.
That was their last picks. They traded, I think, 2 or 3 picks, and I think that was base. They have 1 first-round pick they can move now, but they also don't have any contracts really they can move anymore. So it's like all they can really move is for like someone who's like 6 or 7 million, unless they traded Harden, Kawhi, or PG.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in LA. I think I would have personally, I think for like going back to those tiers quickly, it's like Denver 1. I think I would have Golden State and Phoenix a second tier. I think I just trust them a bit more that like they'll be really good. The Lakers and Clippers, I think I'd have it in a third tier. Like, I'd love to put the Lakers up into tier 2, but I think I don't really trust them to be that good.
Yeah, and I put the Lakers above the Clippers, but but within the same tier.
Within that same tier.
But then the Kings in that tier too.
That's the question. Is like the Kings. The other one is like the Mavericks. They're looking really good to start the year. They're 6-2. Luke is on fire. Yeah. I'd maybe have them in that tier as well. A Dallas in that tier, I think.
Just throw OKC in. Why not?
Might as well. Talking about OKC, they've been good. That's a good transition point though. We'll move on for a bit and talk a bit about OKC, who are your personal team. And why don't, just to start off, give us a bit of background about how you actually got into following the NBA, how you got into following OKC, what was the reason behind that? Just tell us a bit of that story.
Yeah, well, I started following the NBA around when I just turned 18, which was halfway through the 2017-2018 season. And I don't know. I'd always played basketball. I'd never followed basketball like properly. My brother was talking about the NBA a lot, so I started, getting into it, I guess. And then, when I started following the NBA, I was like, I need to pick a team. And like, at the time, it was like Golden State was like the easy bandwagon team. If I picked Golden State, I'd hate myself for life. It's the worst team choice ever. The worst reasoning with like KD on the Warriors at their peak. And the other team was like the Cavs because it was LeBron's final season with Cleveland. But I want to pick, a team that was different, but it still wasn't a horrible team. And that was like the first year that PG and not only the Carmelo Anthony joined Russ in OKC. So that seemed like an exciting, good team, but like they weren't like the top of the pack. So it wasn't like a bandwagon team. I didn't want to pick LA or the Celtics or the Bulls because I wanted to pick something that was not as well known. So anyway, I ended up with OKC just because I know Russ was like the reigning MVP. So I thought he must be good. And he was kind of all right, but the MVP is like somewhat dubious in reality. But I still love Russ. That OKC team was like really fun. Also because I had Steven Adams, because like I just knew him from getting kicked in the balls by Draymond Green in 2016 conference finals, and then talking interviews, he's like this really funny, nice Kiwi guy. So I was like, all right, he's awesome. So he was on OKC too. And I know, and I was like the storyline of OKC potentially beating the Warriors, which obviously didn't come close to happening, but like just a chance of like the new team between like Russ and PG and Melo could have like revenge on the KD Warriors and for KD leaving.
Yeah.
So it's just like the storyline and just everything. And it's like small market team, but it's still really fun, good team. And I like their colors as well. So
they have cool jerseys. I must admit, I love the Thunder jerseys and I like their colors.
Yeah.
Some of their city jerseys and stuff have been really nice over the years. They pull out some fun stuff.
Yeah, the CJs, they can be good. They should spend more time on that. They should do it like every 2 years, I reckon, instead of like rushing it each year. And having some that just completely...
I'm literally in the middle. I'm making these like TikToks at the moment and just reacting to the recent ones. I'm like, they're so bland, some of the ones that have been coming out this year. Like, they just look like...
Yeah.
Like, I messaged a mate the other day. I'm like, it feels like they got to week... like 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. And someone's like, did you remember that we need to send in our city... jersey this week, like, oh no. And they just like threw the intern on Canva for 30 minutes and just like quickly build something for us. And they just gave them a designer that just typed in the team's name and put it on a bit of an angle and put it in it. Just scrolled the fonts, clicked on something, went through the Canva 8 colors that they have, and like, yep, we'll go with that for this year. But
that wouldn't surprise me if
that literally is how it feels at the moment. They're so bland, some of them. But it is interesting though that you were saying that with the Thunder, like not wanting to be a bandwagon fan. I think they're like one of those teams that you see a lot of fans for the Thunder because teams like from that era. Because I think around then,
they were like a contender pretty much for a good chunk of the 2010s, like with KD and Russ.
Oh, they were a good team for a very long time. And I think it's interesting. A lot of people who go, like, I started following the NBA about that time, around that 2016 to 2018 period. I have a lot of mates who started then. And I think you see a lot of, like, Thunder fans and Spurs fans, because there's everyone who was like, oh, we want to follow a good team, but we don't want to just follow Golden State. We want to follow the good team that's going to beat Golden State. And as we found out, no team was good enough to beat Golden State. And we've discussed that already because Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and Kevin Durant and Steve Kerr, you get a very, very good basketball team that knows how to do some good things. Teams got close, though. I think,
I wish our Rockets team was healthy again. Injuries. Because they lost CP3 for the final 2 games of 2018 conference finals. And then it took missing 27 straight threes to end up losing in game 7.
I think the Rockets are...
I could have won if not healthy. My God.
I do think that... I think that Rockets team, the... 2016 to 2018, 2017, 18, 19, that sort of Rockets team with Chris Paul and Harden is one of my favorite what-if stories of all time, where it's like, I think they were so good. And, like, I can't help but think it's like people blame Harden for not being a winner, or they blame, like, Daryl Morey, their GM, like, oh, he built this team that couldn't actually win when it got... It's like, did he just build a team that would have won in any other era, but lost to the best basketball team since maybe the Jordan era to ever play? And it's like, I can't help but think if Harden was in the Eastern Conference, that Rockets team was in the Eastern Conference, they would have... I would have loved to actually see them go against the Cavs. I feel like they would have beaten the Cavs one year at least. It's like...
they would have won. That 2018, they were way better than the Cavs. It was just LeBron. And then...
I think Harden makes a... And it's funny how it's like there's teams that are... Like, I love LeBron, but it's like, oh, he's such a winner because he kept making the finals. It's like... Making the finals from the East, I feel like, is just as good as making the conference finals in the West. And even this one, so it's like,
he has to beat like one good team, pretty much.
Both teams had to beat one good team, and it just happened that team was coming from the Western Conference. So it's like,
and
even the fact that there was years where the Houston were like, oh, they lost to in the semifinals. It's like, but they lost to Golden State. Whenever you played Golden State, that was the end of your run. Like, there's just like, that was what it was he wasn't just you weren't just asked to build a team that could win. You're asked to build a team that could beat the best team, probably since the Heatles. Like,
people who like on them saying they didn't do they did a bad job. It's just looking at it with like no nuance. At least like when in the context of playing against that Golden State team, it was like a 73-win team plus Kevin Durant. Like, dude, come on,
you can't do much about that team. That was a pretty good team.
And again, they really could have won if they didn't get injured and if they didn't have like one of the worst 3-point droughts in playoff history. Like, literally would have been the worst. 27 straight threes.
That's
like, what
ridiculous.
A joke, bro.
Like if I was to go down to like my local court in the middle of like a windy day and blindfold myself, and I'm a bad 3-point shooter, the chances is I'm hitting 1 out of 27. Like, just pure luck is going to get me 1 out of 27. Like, it's hard not to at that point. Also, in big earth-shattering news, the Lakers had just beaten the Phoenix Suns. We're up by 6 with 1 second to go.
Congratulations, mate.
Mate, we're back
Good
on.
For you. Good for Laker fans.
Late show 23. We're going to win.
Needed.
Yeah, we've had such a tough run as a franchise. We haven't won in almost 4 years.
You had Westbrook for like a season. Everyone's just like died in your whole fan base. But you got a dub today.
The ones who are left are like the real fans. We had to see through some sad times. Going back to your experiences with the Thunder, though, quickly. It was interesting you said that you didn't want to go for like a Boston or like a Chicago, like a big franchise, and picking a smaller market like OKC. I was actually thinking, like, do you reckon it is easier to support a smaller market like OKC, or even we've seen like San Antonio, Houston, things like that, not being from America? Because it's like the difference between the city of Oklahoma City and the city of Chicago actually makes no difference to us over here. So it's like it's just sort of a name to us, and it's actually more about the players and stuff.
Right. I was going to say I can't answer because I'm not American, so I don't know their perspective. You mean like just like
as an Australian,
you're more likely just to pick any team as opposed to like in the context of America, where it's like the market name has a lot more.
That's exactly it. It's like the actual name.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think the small market, big market team shit doesn't matter. Like, at least I didn't care about it at all personally. And in the context of social media, like, anyone can be huge. And like OKC fans are like everywhere, and like they're obviously a really small market, but just like with KD and Russ, like they've always just had a lot of fans And I don't think it matters as much in the modern age.
I think it really is becoming less of a factor. Like, it's hard for me to say that I follow the Lakers, but it's like we've got Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony.
Horrible front office and just get LeBron for no reason.
Yeah, literally, we can get guys like LeBron, and there is a point where you don't do that if you're like Indiana. But like at the same time, I think being such a worldwide market now, like as I said, like okay, AFL. Someone being like, oh, I go for North Melbourne. It's like, when I think of North Melbourne, I think of their fan base. I think of like their culture and their history. But if you're like over in Europe, you're just being asked to pick a team, you'd be like, oh, they're a young roster. I'll go for North Melbourne. I'll go for like the team name. You could pick a Fremantle or a Port Adelaide, and the actual city doesn't actually mean anything to you. Whereas for us, it means something because we know what it means in terms of their like the fan base and all that. So it's like I do think it's actually interesting how much more, and I think as the league has become more international, how much more markets like Milwaukee will be able to thrive, or Indiana or OKC, because if you can get a good player, your fans are worldwide now. It doesn't really, you don't have to just get fans from your city. So I think it will be easier for teams to hold on. Like, look at like Giannis staying in Milwaukee. Like, I don't think that happens. 30 years ago.
I think it's overblown a lot. And just with how interconnected the world is through the internet, like, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. Those big market, small market stuff doesn't matter as much. But I hope so, because that's why, it's just annoying how like teams like the LA can be like,
we're just going
to you can have like a shit front office, because like when small market teams make bad decisions, like it just screws them.
You're
like,
cooked.
Obviously. So, in perfect world, it was all like equal. That'd be cool. Like equal opportunity to fuck up or succeed. But
it would be a lot nicer. But talking about like having to do it the right way, your OKC Thunder have obviously become sort of notorious in the last few years for making a lot of trades and getting a lot of draft picks, and have sort of said, we're not going to go for free agency. We're going to pick 42 guys who are currently in grade 8, and we're going to start scouting them now because they're all coming to our team. What's that been like actually following that, like as a team, knowing that it's like, we have a good team now, but we've also got like, we've literally got like, it was something like you have like 15% of the draft picks or something in the next like 8 drafts or something ridiculous.
I've lost count.
It's just stupid how many you have, but like, is that actually an interesting feeling where it's like, you know that however good you are now, you can get so much better in the next few years.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm stoked with our rebuild. I'm like, honestly, super happy. In Presti, we trust. Like Sam Presti, I have full faith in, even though he dropped the ball like one time, and when he didn't trade Kendrick Perkins and he traded Harden, but he kind of got forced into it by financial like shit around ownership, like capping how much he could spend and stuff at the time. So it is what it is. And, we didn't know Harden was going to be Harden in the end. But, like, other than that, Presti's been an unreal GM for OKC. And, like, he always picks so many great players. Like, he picked Westbrook and KD and Harden and Serge Ibaka, who wasn't, like, obvious at the time. And then, like, our current roster now. I remember, like, the day, like, when they traded PG to the Clippers for, like, SGA and then a bunch of picks in 2019. And that was like unexpected at the time, because we thought we were just going to be running it back. This is after like OKC lost in the first round to Portland when Dame hit the near half court game winner in PG's face and just ended that team permanently. But yeah, I thought it was just going to be like Westbrook and PG running it back, but then like they kind of blew it up, and I'm so happy they did, because like that was the perfect time to do it. Instead of just pulling off the Band-Aid slowly, just like pulling off quickly and getting as much back whilst like everyone's at their best. And and like I was like kind of annoyed at that start. I was like, actually, no, this is worth it. We need to do this. And then, the rebuild's been going awesome. Like realistically, the only like slight concern was like SGA being like slightly older than like the current, the rest of the core of like all the young players. But I think
he's
it's
not
fine.
Old. He's still and he is also really, really good. I really like SGA. I think he's like, he's got like superstar potential in my mind. I think like he is a superstar basically, but like he's got like that.
There's different tiers to it.
When I watch him play, I'm like, he could be like MVP level superstar. Like I'm not saying he is yet, but it's like
hope so.
He is so good when he plays. Like he's so weird. It's like it's almost like
he's such a crafty scorer.
He's almost too slow for his opponents, and it's like there's so many ones where he'll just slow down, and his defender just like runs way too far away, because like they're used to like these like quick bursty guards, and he's just like, I'll just go at my own speed and whatever I want to do, and
Yeah,
Speed
no,
up
he does
and
have a
slow
very
down.
like methodical kind of way to his
Methodical's a
game. It's like
great way.
and just like a very controlled pace constantly. No, I'm so happy with SGA. My goodness, like look, people kind of crap at the Clippers again. I feel like defending the Clippers because everyone always shits on them so much. Like that, saying how like you should have traded SGA. But like they got like PG and Kawhi. Like I think it was like a worthwhile trade. Now in hindsight, it hasn't got them a championship, but like at the time, because Kawhi was only going to re-sign. He was going to sign in LA if they traded Paul George. So like that was guaranteed.
That's it.
Like so, like they trading SGA and picks for Kawhi and PG was like worth it, but it just hasn't panned out for him so far.
I think it was, and like they got close. They've gotten very close. The Clippers, like injuries have been their downfall.
21, like they had a real good chance.
They looked good until Kawhi did his ACL, and like
and they still got to the conference finals.
You got unlucky. It was the only conference finals they've ever got to, so like they've still gotten better, which is sad. But like they have gotten better. I think it's I was talking to the Clippers man. I'm like, would you do it again? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, even though it hasn't worked out, he's like, you got to have hope that 1 of 5 years it works. They stay healthy for the playoffs, and like they just haven't.
You don't take that risk to be like a top contender for like at least a guaranteed period of time. Like so many teams just don't even get close to that and just end up never doing anything exciting. So like,
I do wonder how much they regret. The one thing I wonder with the Clippers if they regret keeping Doc Rivers that first year, because like that first year when they lost in the playoffs and then they fired Doc Rivers afterwards, and it's like, oh, it's okay, we'll be back. And like, that was the 1 year they were ever actually healthy.
Was that 2020?
In 2020 in the bubble, they still like the fact that they still had it not resetting the coach.
They should have won. Oh, they should have played LA.
That should have been the LA
finals. Damn it, that's so annoying. I mean, it was awesome seeing the 3-1 comeback from the Nuggets, and that was like Jokic beginning to get his stride. So it was like so fun. But yeah, no, I wish. But not seeing Clippers and Lakers also just sucks.
That was the moment where I knew Denver was like, oh, they could be they could do some good things. Jamal Murray in the playoffs is a different monster. He is so good.
No, that was such a fun time period. I mean, it wasn't fun, it was COVID, but it was like the playoffs in 2020 were like
bubble
really fun.
Playoffs are actually really fun. Like I know a lot of people are like, it's not a real championship event. Like stuff that. The Lakers won and it was fun.
Disney bubble ring, mate, doesn't care.
I don't get that at all. Like I know you don't, but like everyone had the same. It's not like the Lakers didn't have to play in the bubble. Everyone got to play in the bubble. Like if anything, it's a more challenging ring to win because we had.
No, I agree. I agree. Like this, it's the people who say like doesn't count. It's not a real argument.
It's not necessarily.
There's just certain things about the situation that benefited like the Lakers in terms of like being all this time off to like rest of the like when they're older as well.
That is big, I think.
And with like if it was a full season, then like they potentially wouldn't have been healthy, which sucks. But then like that's the same situation every other team is facing, but it's going to benefit the other teams, not the Lakers as much. And then also like the Clippers, and all the teams that lost, like the Bucks lost early on. When did the Bucks lose? Did they lose in the first round?
They lost in the first round to Miami. So I think it was one where a lot of the other good teams. I think what it did was like it sort of made it more unpredictable, which is like I think it was less
like with those teams that like the Bucks and the Clippers, like if they would have had home court, and like I reckon that could have been the difference between losing games. That's lost.
Probably the big difference.
If they had like an actual home crowd, not just like the people on like Zoom on their giant faces on the screen.
That was so weird.
It was better than nothing, but like
it was weird. I do actually agree. It was better than nothing. That was that was a weird little season. The bubble. Yeah. That was also the start of the good crazy Phoenix teams. That was when Phoenix.
Yeah.
They were like 8-0 in the bubble, and Devin Booker went on that hot streak, and then after that they traded for Chris Paul, made it to the finals the next year.
And then became unlikable. I was like rooting for that Phoenix team, and then like they became good for a season. And like now I just don't like this team for some reason. Now I just stopped liking Booker. I just find him annoying.
He's
like
such a crybaby. He is I think
he's like a really great player. So like,
he's a fantastic player. I remember when we played them in the playoffs, I was surprised what a foul merchant he is. I never realized like how often like he would jump on like just like backwards to draw fouls on like our defenders, and like it was infuriating by the end of the round where we got beaten by them. But
but I was rooting for him so hard.
He's also so good. Like he was unstoppable even without that, but his foul drawing was annoying. He's gotten better at that, I think, though. Finally, just on your Thunder, just going back to that for the last second. How far do you think this current team? Obviously, you have every pick for the next 75 years. So, like, this isn't your final team. But
Hell yes.
if the core was Shea, Giddey, Jalen Williams, Chet, how far do you think that core actually can go in a few years' time if you let it just grow?
Oh, man. Well, hopefully a championship. I mean, I literally think they have the potential to, but, like, it's... I don't know. I don't want to, like, think it's going to happen. It just never happens. And it's like, oh, this sucks. I was expecting a championship. Instead, we got KD and Russ, which was never, so much potential every year, but just never panned out. I literally think they could, but, like, because this is, like, only, some of those players, like, first, second, third year. Like, so in 3-4 years, like, they're going to be so much better. And where they are right now, if they all followed the similar trajectory and mesh together, like, sky's the limit, like, genuinely.
They're young.
Yeah.
I think that is actually true. And, like, you got 75,000 picks. Would you rather use those picks to say, hey, let's package those picks with one or two of those guys, with a Giddey and a Jalen Williams, or with Giddey and Chet or something like that, and get a superstar player? Like, let's go and try and trade those picks, trade all our picks in Giddey and Williams and get, like, a Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I mean...
in, like, a year?
I literally would. I don't know if maybe a year's too early. Maybe, like, I don't know, like, maybe just a couple more years of everyone developing, and then
would you
when
do
they're
that?
kind of really set to go into it.
Or would you rather just use the picks and say, hey, let's trade 2 picks for, like, some good role play, like, get some players around, like, I'll trade a couple first-round picks and get, like, I'll trade a first-round pick and get, like, a Derek White, or trade 2 first-round picks and get someone like those caliber players. Do you think you'd rather do that and keep those 4 players, or, like, sort of put all the picks together, take 1 or 2 of the young core, and trade for, like, a superstar?
I think the superstar, to be honest. I mean, it depends, like, what was available, and on both sides, like, in terms of fitting out the roster with better role players that are suited for the team, or, like, trading up a little bit of the core, because it would be, like, either Giddey or J-Dub if it was traded.
Well,
but yeah, no, I think the superstar route, which I think is what we're set up to do, like, just keep developing this core, and then what becomes available in 2-3 plus years, all the team just succeeds as it is.
Yeah, that's true. And I think there's also a point where one of the good things you have is, like, if the team succeeds, you can also, like as we said, market size isn't really an issue. If the team's good, you can get someone in free agency or something in a few years potentially as well. Like, you could you don't have to just trade anymore, because I don't think if people want to play with, like, Shea and Giddey and those guys, so it's going to be interesting to see how they build out their roster.
And I'm so happy I picked a team that has a good, like, front office and team culture, because, like, teams that don't, like Charlotte, are just, like, a constantly, like, just, and if you're a small market and culture and shit front office, you're just rooted. You're Charlotte. And then, like, OKC has always just had this really good front office and knows how to have, like, this really good culture between all the guys on the team, and, like, it just makes it, and, like, they treat players well when they do want to get out of the organization, in terms of not just, like, burning all bridges, like, with, like, wasn't both sides' fault, but, like, Harden and Morey, like, the situation's just, like, dead. But, like, OKC, like, the management will try and, like, give them a good exit, so then, like, at least they just have a positive reputation for other players.
Look at, like, a Chris Paul. He comes in for a year. It's like, clearly he doesn't want to stay there. He wants to go to a contender. But it's like, hey, come to us for a year. He plays hard. He plays well. They get to the playoffs with their young team. Then we're still going to trade you. We'll move you on, and we'll get you to Phoenix, and we'll get some picks back for you. We'll move you back to where you want to be, but come work with us for a bit. We'll work with you. I think it definitely seems like a healthy culture that's like, I'd want to be a part of that team. It's not like, and it doesn't even, they're not even a team that looks like you feel like, oh, you play one bad season, you trade. It's like, no, they build their guys and they give them time and they work it out. And I think you guys are built for success, and you've given yourself every option in the world of whether you want to go for, trading for a superstar, trading for a few, and you've got enough picks that you can sort of do both. You can sort of trade for a superstar and trade for some role players and trade for another superstar after that as well. I don't really know how you did it, but you managed to.
Yes, we're in a great position. Thank you, Sam Presti.
He is the GOAT compared to us, who traded Kuzma, KCP, Harrell, and a first-round pick from Westbrook. That is
actually pretty wild.
That still haunts me that we ever did that. I cannot understand that trade. I don't think there's been an episode yet where I haven't brought up my fury at the Lakers doing that.
Well, that's
Every episode
that's a GM trade.
The GM. But you know how because we literally had, it was like on that day, we had a trade lined up to send Kyle Kuzma and no picks to Sacramento for Buddy Hield.
And you're nearly going to get DeRozan as well.
We had DeRozan lined up, we had Buddy Hield lined up, and instead we went after
that would be an absolute contender.
Absolutely. We would have so much better. Like, it was like there was ways we were going to get those guys, and instead we decided, then in the same one, we decided to let Alex Caruso go and picked up Taylor Horton-Tucker instead. It was
oh my goodness.
It was the dumbest that was the worst off season of
and
my
everyone
life.
knew Caruso was like legit a really good player. Like, he wasn't just a meme.
He's
like,
an
he was
incredible
obviously
defender.
a really, really good role player. Yeah.
He's
just like 3-and-D epitome of it. He's like really good.
He just does he's exactly who you want in a team with LeBron. You want a guy like him who says, I don't want the ball, just let me go and play amazing defense, let me hit my threes. Oh, that
and he's a fan favorite. Like, what's not to love?
There was literally, I don't understand us losing out on Caruso. That was the worst offseason of my life. But now we've got Austin Reeves and all is okay.
Yeah, you got another
We've got the
guy
accountant.
that's still like really
We've
good.
got the white accountant.
Yeah.
Although he sucks at the moment. But he'll be good. I trust Austin Reeves. Well, Daniel, I'll better let you go, but if you were to, give us in one sentence what your expectations are for the rest of this OKC season, what would it be?
I reckon we'll end up like the 5th or the 6th seed, and hopefully we win first round of the playoffs. I wouldn't expect us to do any better than that, but that's just like, this is just another development year. It's Chet's first year, and that wasn't one sentence, but I'm looking forward to it.
That's close enough. That's better than most. I reckon you can make the playoffs, and I think you can make some noise. Even if you don't win the first round, you could make it 7. You could.
Yeah.
I could see you doing a bit of like what the Kings did last year. Where it's like you make the playoffs, you stay healthy, have a really competitive season against like a Golden State or something like that. I think you guys are lining up to have a really good year, and whether or not you win this year, you've got some 9th graders who are starting to really understand what basketball is, so you're getting ready to draft in 2030 because you have set yourselves up.
Yeah, we're ready for it.
You're ready for them. You're ready to have 142 players on your roster by the end of 2030.
Whatever it takes.
It's going to be good. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're watching on YouTube at the moment, go check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us at the Fair Dunkem Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, go check us out on YouTube. Protecting the Paint is the YouTube channel where it is posted. Also, Instagram, TikTok at Protecting the Paint. Go check us out there. Daniel, thank you so much for joining. I'm following this Thunder team with a lot of interest this year. I think they're going to be fun. It's going to be an interesting year for them. It's going to be. I also love Giddey, who has got the best head of hair in the NBA as well. I don't know how we didn't discuss that up to now. Giddey's hair. That needs to be like topic number 1 when you discuss OKC. I don't understand. He doesn't wear a headband. He doesn't tie it up, but it just never gets in his eyes. It just constantly flows backwards. Like, I used to have long hair, and if I didn't wear a headband or tie it up, it would just be like drapes over.
No, it's phenomenal. I don't know how he does it. He has a special routine for it.
I feel like he was born with it. I feel like he would have he came out of the womb. It's just like he's got the full set of hair somehow.
Yeah, probably.
He's a good player. Daniel, I hope to have you back on this podcast very soon, mate. This was too much fun talking OKC and talking NBA with you, mate. Enjoy the rest of the season. Who are you looking forward to? Anything NBA coming up that you're looking forward to the next few days? Any games, any teams?
I actually haven't looked at the games.
Oh, dude, neither have
I. Honestly, look, you want me to have a quick squeeze right now, I'll tell you.
Have a look right now. I'm looking at the same time.
Today was a big day. A lot of games.
Cavs, Warriors, tomorrow could be
nothing
fun.
really give a shit there. Yeah, probably Warriors, Cavs. Everything else looks good.
You guys have the Suns on Monday our time. That'll be interesting.
That actually would be pretty sweet.
That'll be a good game, actually, I reckon. It's got you guys as 10-8. I don't believe you played 18 games. I think that's a typo. It's also got them as 14-4.
Yeah, no, that's...
Neither of those are true.
I think, Suns Thunder, that sounds like a pretty good game.
That'll be a good game. That'll be interesting, like how you can actually go against the top teams. I'll let you go, Daniel.
Man, well, thanks for having me on, bro. Thanks for letting me do a podcast.
Dude, your lifelong dream has been completed.
At last.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do.
That's been sweet.
Complete the lifelong dreams of so many people to be on a random very specific NBA podcast made by an Aussie from his room via Zoom. Isn't it fantastic?
Bro, you're doing the kids proud, man.
Thank you, mate. Thank you to everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next episode, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. Have a great week. See you next one. Adios.